mislaid us. All right, same thing, Mr. Plaintiff for the Mr. Carter for the plaintiff. In the court's chair, defense counsel Mr. Ward. In the defense chair regular is Ms. Wellington. This time we are going 2 1/4, and we'll go for about 5 minutes till we run out of time. So fire when ready.
Ready? Begin. Welcome back, everyone.
Let's start that again.
And what number are we at? 11s?
9.
9.
They won't like you if you try to do 11.
Okay, 9.
3 every 20 seconds.
That's it.
7.5 seconds.
Okay,
7
ready?
seconds, 6.5 seconds. Here we go.
Ready? Begin. Welcome back. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. The record should reflect that we are resuming in the Depo Karen Baxter. Since we have a different court reporter today, I think we should state our appearances again for the record.
Thank you. James Ward for the defendant, Tanya Marshall.
Susan Wellington for the defendant, Shuttle King.
And I am Michael Carter for the plaintiff, Joseph Lewis. Are we ready to resume?
I want to note for the record that my client is not able to be here this morning due to a prior conflict. She may be able to join us later this afternoon.
That shouldn't be a problem.
No objection. She has a right to be here, of course. I don't think it is necessary to wait for her. Are you requesting that we postpone until the afternoon when she can be here?
No, not at all. I just wanted to state that on the record. I'm ready to proceed. Let's go ahead and begin if we're all ready.
Ma'am, are you ready to begin?
Sure, I apologize for being a little late.
That's fine. We all just got here. We can go ahead and start then.
I will remind you, Ms. Baxter, that you are still under oath.
I understand.
Thank you for returning today so we can complete your deposition.
No problem. I hope we will be finished today, though. I have scheduled a flight out of town next week.
Then we better get started right away.
Thank you.
When we left off, I was inquiring about your statements to the officer on the scene. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
When you were giving your statement to the responding officer, where did that initially occur?
It was just right there on the corner near where the accident happened.
Do you remember that particular officer's name?
That day I spoke to 3 different ones. The first one was a woman. I don't recall her name.
Do you remember the name of the officer who took your full statement?
Yes, the last name was Rogers.
Was that a man or a woman?
He was a man.
And you said it was on the corner of Sycamore and Greenfield Drive?
Sorry to interrupt. I believe you meant Sycamore and Baker.
You are correct.
I don't want there to be confusion later between the 2 witnesses.
I think we should allow the witness to answer the questions. She can correct any counsel if they are confused.
I do recall that it was Baker. The officer interviewed me on the corner.
Thank you.
When the officer questioned you about what you had seen that day, were you being truthful with him that morning?
Absolutely.
That day, did you feel confused about what you had seen in any way?
I don't believe so, no.
How long after the accident did you speak to Officer Rogers?
As I said earlier, I spoke to 3 different ones. The first officer just told me before I could leave that I needed to wait until someone spoke to me for my statement.
Okay.
The second one took my name and contact information. She told me to wait for Officer Rogers.
And that's why you waited on the corner.
That's right.
You have previously told us what you observed that morning. I just have a couple more questions about your conversation with my client after the accident.
Okay.
Do you recall speaking to Joseph Lewis that morning?
Yes, I did.
Had you ever met him prior to that morning?
No, I did not.
Okay. Are you aware if he works in the area?
I don't have any idea where he works.
When did you first approach him that morning?
Objection. Assumes facts not in evidence.
Did you approach Mr. Lewis or did he approach you?
I was standing there after the accident, and he came up to me on the corner.
Was that the only time you spoke to Mr. Lewis?
After the collision, and once the cars were all settled, I looked over, and he was sitting in the pickup truck looking around.
Did you approach his pickup truck at that time?
No, I just hollered to him to ask if he was okay.
Okay, and did you
Yes, his window was down.
Yes, it was. Did it appear that Mr. Lewis heard your comments to him?
He looked directly at me. He didn't say anything.
Did you have any further conversation with him?
I asked him if he was okay.
Did he respond to you on that second attempt?
Correct. He nodded his head. I hollered that I was going to call 911.
When Mr. Lewis later approached you on the corner, do you recall what the conversation was at that time?
I told him he should just sit down and wait for the police to get there.
I want to clarify, did you have a conversation with Joseph Lewis on the corner?
Not really. He appeared to be pretty dazed the whole time I saw him. That's why I wanted him to sit down and wait for the medical people.
While you two were on the corner, did you overhear any discussion Mr. Lewis had with anyone else?
Not really. There was a woman who came over and was talking to him. I didn't really hear what she was saying.
Okay.